Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coping with Life. I am your host, as always, Scotty. Not feeling too well, but that won't stop me. It's Saturday. Let's get it on. First of all, thank you so much for everybody who is tuning in, listening. Keep on sharing, keep on letting people know. I appreciate it very much. Wanting to grow a safe community. And, it's something that very, very means a lot to me. And, I'm really excited. But this week's episode, I want to talk about, more me and my mental issues. And so, it's not a mental illness, it is a detriment. So I am autistic. So I'm on the spectrum. And it's not easy. Because, being 34 and autistic and, autism still very apparent in my life. It's hard. It's rough. And even the people in my circle, the people in my life, they don't care. They don't, especially thing that honestly bother me or, I have an issue with. It's hard because it really messes with me, and I will give you a few examples. So, one of the worst things that you can do to me is put me on mute. It has nothing to do with you putting it on mute. I understand that. But you putting me on mute, it's loud. The vacuum of absolute silence, it really does hurt the ear follicle hairs. It's like, this is loud. And it's fascinating. And so, being put on mute is like, it hurts. Now, if I put somebody on mute, I don't hear that void. So, so it's like, well, you put me on mute, it's like, yeah, but, so usually when somebody puts me on mute, I hang up or leave, because it's too loud. It's legitimately too loud for me, because I usually have my big headphones on, my earphones, and for being very in tune with sounds, a lot of things, there, and it's just one of those things where my mind is, it goes left, right, always moving. And like if I'm in a restaurant and I'm there, I'm very animated, or I'm always looking around and, exits there. I'm very aware, and a lot of people don't understand that, but for me, I'm okay with that, but being autistic, being autistic, and then you add a few of the other mental health issues that I have, it makes life hell. It's just really hard to understand, very, and the one thing, being autistic, there's a lot of people out there with excellent memory. Now, on certain things, I have fascination of memory. However, there's a few other things that, so my memory is not good. And I'm autistic because, I, some people with autism have great memory. But that's not true for everybody. Everybody is different. And one of the things that I love about having this there, because I get to be me. But, it can be difficult to recall past emotions, thoughts, and general actions and information, whether it was from a week ago or a few seconds ago. And I finally figured out what causes this, my detail-oriented brain, because I struggle to see the bigger picture. In most things, including my own life, it is hard to remember anything outside of my current state of being. I quite literally live in the moment. All there is now, not before or after. So when I try to remember something from a year or 10 minutes ago, I struggle, because all that exists is right now. Then this can cause distress in daily living, especially for my thoughts and emotions. If I'm feeling depressed or anxious, it is difficult for me to remember any time I wasn't like this. If I say to myself, you will not always feel this way, it is hard to believe, because if all there is now, then this is how I will always feel. Of course, this also affects my ability to remember simple information, like name, dates, and even faces. But it's not all bad, because I live in the moment and focus on details. Hyper-focusing on a special interest is quite fun. It also makes experiencing every moment of life extremely beautiful. My poor memory is not a bad trait of being autistic. It just simply is. I'm working on being able to embrace both good and difficult parts of being me. And I'm okay with that. And, it's not easy. And, I feel that, because that's desperately, because I will legitimately flip of either having super memory to, what did I just do? Why am I here? But I do. I live in the moment. I try and be the best. But if I'm depressed, or if I'm not good, or disassociating, or splitting, or whatever it may be that I am in my life, the one thing that a lot of people think when they think of a lot of my illnesses in there, the one thing that they won't see is a lot of anger. I have little anger and frustration, but normally the anger part is gone due to a lot of other trauma and things that you've dealt with your entire life. Anger has no part of my life. So I will be frustrated, but yeah, I would rather talk something out or express something or just walk away. And I'm okay with that. And letting what was in the past. But it's okay. And when it's hard to live a day where you can be affected in many different ways. many different ways can affect me. And how does... And if you talk to me, or they're either... I'll be petrified or willing. I don't, it just depends on my mood. But the one thing that I'm excuse me, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to live a better life and express. And it's very hard to express a lot of things. And, at the end of the day, I am me. And sometimes if I'm not feeling too well, or if I'm having one of those days where I could be having a conversation with you, and then you can go, excuse me, Scott, I said something to you. It's like, sorry? I space out, and I don't realize that I'm spacing out. And there's a blip, and it causes mayhem and chaos. And I try to be very in tune and very there, but sometimes, I just vanish, and it's like, no. It's hard. It's very difficult, because there's a lot of things that can be there. And one of the big thing that I have an issue with is, like I said earlier, unusually strong reaction of distress to certain sounds. Like popping sounds, clicking of tongues. And, it's very bothersome. And a lot of people go, well, you're overreacting. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, if there's a buzzing, a repetitive buzzing sound, I hear that. I have very sensitive hearing, and it sucks, because like, if I'm talking to somebody and in their background, far distant, somebody's saying, why didn't you take out the trash? And then I go, did you take out the trash? And they're like, wait, you can hear that conversation? I can barely hear that conversation. It's like, yeah, I can hear it clear as day. It's fascinating. It really is. Sensitive hearing is... So, I try and walk around with my earphones and drown out the background noise so I can focus. And I listen to music a lot, and I'm trying to focus, because if I'm listening to music, I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to concentrate, and it's not there's a lot of traits that I have that doesn't make sense to me, but I try and live the life that I can, and try and be super positive, and for a majority of my life, you wouldn't be able to tell that, I'm autistic or I have mental health issues or anything of the like because I hid it. I would make excuses and, you know, but, being up for 39 hours or being asleep, that's more a part of my depression, not autism or my other mental illnesses. But it's apparent that I definitely needed to start this podcast and be honest because it helps. And, I'm glad because my brain, and I know I've said this the last couple of weeks, but it's very apparent that I'm happy because the last couple nights I've been sleeping way more than I should. Haven't been eating, haven't been really doing much. Been dealing with a lot of problems in my headspace. And when you look at it, my brain's like, it's Saturday. You know what that means. And so I go, okay, I'm ready. And I'm still not feeling too well. And I'm just blessed. I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong, but I'm blessed. I'm very grateful and very humble about a lot of things. But, sometimes it's hard to, being a part of a group or, so last night I was laying down and my friend and her friends wanted to chat with me for a little bit. And I didn't want to get out of bed. So I just had my phone go to the chat and I'm watching them play Skyrim. And they're talking. And they're talking about something that I'm very into, very interested in. But I'm going to bed. And they're like, everything okay? Yep, everything's okay. I just need to go to bed. Which I did. And they were talking about, superheroes. And if anybody knows me, knows that I love comic books and superheroes and flashy lights and explosions. But it's hard because there's so much going on and I like to know a lot and, I just wasn't into it, so I left. And it has nothing to do with them, it's just me. It's, I'm fading, I'm drifting away. But it's hard to realize that, I can't pinpoint everything, okay, this attitude is for this. It's like, at the end of the day, it's me. And what I am today is different from tomorrow, and from tomorrow to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. I'm me, but am I happy? Am I just wanting to, live life or let life live? I may have gotten that quote reversed. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm me. I'm somebody who's very passionate, very happy, very enthusiastic, but sometimes my depression and sometimes it's like, whatever. And that will change rapidly. There's a lot of things out there. Like, feeling all this stuff, and, most people feel this in a span of a year. That's today. Yeah, that's basically how, my brain is. It's like, takes a day and it's probably about an hour. Because it's not easy. And, I'm coping with life and being autistic. And, there's a lot of cool things that I can do being me. And that fascinates me. Because people who are autistic have superpowers. Anyway. But then, when you get, discouraged, or when people stop you or use you or abuse you, it's, a lot of things that I can pick up on, and it's fascinating. Because I analyze people, I people watch. I see how mannerisms work in certain people, and so when I just give up, when I'm defeated, it's like, okay, whatever. And majority of the time I'm very talkative, very hyper, but sometimes I'm quiet. And we all go through our issues, we all go through problems. And it's okay. It really is. Life is not perfect. Life will never be perfect. We just have to be us and be the person that we want to be. And I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what direction I'm going down. And, with the amount of pressure of frustrations, learning to speak words, and, but perfect example. If you say, hey, call me. Okay, cool. When do you want me to call you? Now, that call is probably not going to be made until maybe 2 to 3 weeks, if you're lucky. Because, or it's very, because I don't like making phone calls. I will, because, I have to. Because if I don't make phone calls, they ain't happening. But the moral of that is, before I record my podcast, I have my little notes. I have the little things that, I will read. Things like, hey, if you're enjoying this episode of Coping with Life, maybe consider supporting us at anchor.fm/copingwithlife. And on the splash screen, there's a support tab. Things like that. If you want to support me, I'd be glad. But you don't have to. You can just listen and tell other people to help grow this community and know that you're not alone. And it's okay to not be okay. And, every struggle, and you may be going through a problem. You may know people that are going through struggles and need to find that they're not alone and there's people out there. And if you're not doing okay, talk to somebody. And that's okay. And if you just want to vent, venting is good. Sometimes you just need to get things off of your chest. So, those things, having little notes, sometimes I ignore my notes and I don't, it's really hard for me to, say, hey, support me. But I kind of feel a little weird about that. But I treat this as my job. This is my thing that I'm very passionate about. And I have notes. Sometimes I don't read my notes. Sometimes I can't read my notes. Either if my glasses aren't on or I can't read my own handwriting. But I have to be prepared when I record my podcast. I have to hype myself up. I have everything ready. And I go through numerous trying to make sure audio is good. And I try really hard to make everything perfect. And it's very eye-opening, the stuff that I do beforehand, before I hit record. And, I can be very hurt emotionally, very down, have a good cry. I'm in a thing where, crying is okay. Or if I'm not feeling okay. But when I hit record, I have to be as real as I can. And, I'm not feeling very well right now. I haven't been for the last couple of days. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm thrilled that I'm able to do this. And when you think about responsibilities, a lot of people have way more responsibility than I do. And I've asked them, it's like, how do you not get overwhelmed? It's like, I don't. Just do what I'm supposed to do and go from there. It's like, well, if I was doing your job, if I'm doing your job, I'd be so overwhelmed. And they're like, oh, okay. And then, they'll find me a couple of weeks later. It's like, what I was thinking? Yeah, I do have a very stressful job. Thanks for pointing this out. And, now I can learn to cope with stress. And when honestly, that kind of makes me feel better because I have a weird outlook on life. And so I have two sides. And I don't know where it falls into the huge list of issues that I have, but I kind of have two main problems. I have the I'm going to talk your ear off or I'm not going to talk at all. And it will change. My mood swings are rapid, and I'm going to, so this will be hopefully picked up in way more episodes, but I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to hopefully cover it later down the line. But statistically, I think we need to stop genderizing problems, even though, so a lot of the mental health issue that I have is predominantly feminine issues. There's borderline personality disorder that affects women way more than it does men. Anything that you will find on it basically says, oh, if your wife or whatever feels this way, it's like, well, yes, but I'm a dude. I'm very much a dude. And a lot of my health issues, are mainly predominantly statistically towards women and their mental health issues and what it may be, but it affects men very well, especially autistic males. And as I get older, I'm realizing a lot of health effects that are creeping up, and I can't change it. But I'm not one of those person about anti-gender or whatnot. That's not who I am, and all that I'm saying is, the articles, they say, well, this only affects women, when it doesn't. And everybody that, especially, psychiatrists and therapists and other people that I talk to, who are like, yeah, you're going to run into that, and you're not going to find anything of how to help males in this problem, because it's with websites in there, they're just, well, this only affects women, when it doesn't. Everything can affect, well, not everything, but most things can affect both genders. And when you read something like, but I'm 100% honest, it does affect women way more. They are more prone to, have this mental illness compared to males. Statistically, that is factual. So I get where they aim at the female demographic. However, males can also have that and affect even worse. But, they don't talk about it. And I will. I'm not proud to have mental illnesses, but, I do. And I have to live my life the best that I can. And, sometimes I overreact. Sometimes I underreact on things. But, and I'm part of a lot of mental health groups. And talking to people and, being one of 12 males, and there's a lot of women in this group, it's overwhelming because, and then they realize after talking and speaking, they're like, oh, well, you actually do suffer from a lot of these issues. You're not just some foreign spy to... It's like, no, males can have a lot of these issues, and most of them go undiagnosed. They don't realize that they have a lot of issues because, either they are too stressed or, they don't know why, it just is, so they go forward. But I just throwing that out there. And it's, everything equality for me. If you're part of Coping with Life, either you're wanting to listen to some of my stories, things that I'm struggling with, or me trying to help other people, or if you're trying to help other people, well, I'm trying to help other people, and we're trying to grow the net to help people and be there for people. And, big hugs to everybody. And the reason why I'm passionate about helping people is because, sometimes I never had that help. Or, going, oh, okay. So I want to be there for people. I want to help lend a hand, and there's a lot of things that I do, and it's hard to live life, especially with no direction, but I do a good job at it. But no, in all seriousness, it's something, helping people listening, knowing that, oh, we all have something to struggle with. We all have our own identity crisis somewhere along the line. But I'm happy who I am. I do my best where I can. But, especially with having, issues, and I'm going to be 100% honest, sometimes it's really hard to ignore issues like sounds and whatnot. Sometimes I can, deal with it like, okay, it's not that big of a problem, that's not a big problem. And then when, I leave or they leave, I go, oh, okay. But, that's just me. And so that's going to be my podcast for this week. I love each and every one of you. A little bit more in depth on me and living with autism and other things that hopefully down the line we can touch on in future episodes. And if there's somebody in need, please help them. I care about each and every one of you. I love you all. And with that said, have a wonderful week. And I bid you adieu. Wow, what an episode there, Scotty. Thank you very much. I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful week. This has been Coping with Life. Anchor.fm Copingwithlife. Feel free to support us if you want. Tell your friends and family and people who may need lifting up to take a look at Coping with Life. I'm your host. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I bid you adieu.